HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and most likely on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up on the HorrorDeconstruction website on YouTube because people like that. With yours, Komp and
Aloe Vera format.
as well as
Thea.
And today's film is
I Know What You Did Last Summer,
shoulda-
1997.
I should have had that fucking IMDb open. I know what you did last summer. What is it? 19. I really don't have
97.
1997. I'm gonna make up the
I got it.
tagline.
Talk faster.
A couple of teens are blackmailed into something bad they did the year previously in the summer and are being picked off one by one.
Four
Starring
young friends.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ryan Philippe, somebody
Freddie
else. Who's the other? Freddie Prinze Jr. Oh, he's Puerto Rican. Nice. Represent.
Is he?
He is. That's why you didn't like him, Danny. I think he's half white, so that's probably why you like him.
Oh, no, that was the part I liked. Yeah.
Written by, let me see, what's his name? Kevin Williamson. Directed by Jim Gillespie. So, Thea, who is it? Danny picked it. Danny, why'd you pick I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Well, I picked Scream, so I felt like this was the next choice.
Yes, this is another solid entry in the late 90s, early 90s horror genre that revitalized right after. I think this came right after Scream because Kevin Williamson obviously wrote Scream.
The next year it came out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is an adaptation of a young adult novel from way back when, where they, I think the book had none of whatever this is happening in this movie. They just sort of took liberties with it, and I don't even know if people got killed in the original book. But they decided to make a slasher film with the laziest costuming for a bad guy, but it ended up being looking cool anyway, which is like a rain slicker.
No, he was cool. I mean, that's actually the costume of a bad guy in a Stephen King novel, The Dark Half, I believe.
I wonder if he took it from there. Nice spoiler for that. So obviously,
That's not a spoiler.
Scream 5 is coming out, and now I Know What You Did Last Summer has come back as a.
Wait, it's not The Dark Half. I'm sorry. It's the one with the psychic that's played by Christopher Walken. I just can't think of.
Dead Zone?
Oh, you're right. There was a
Dead Zone. Dead Zone. Yeah,
Dead Zone. So yeah, this is there's a revitalization of these, or what you'd call usual Hollywood shit, where they're making money off of old projects. And there's a new I Know What You Did Last Summer that I'm sure people are.
Is it good?
It's a series, I believe.
Apparently, it's pissing off the LGBT community for a reason at the end of it. So
Great.
put the pieces together, and I'm sure you can figure out why that is. Okay. So with this film, Thea or Danny, actually, oh boy, I just know it's gonna be trouble. Danny, explain to us what I Know What You Did Last Summer is.
A bunch of kids graduate high school, and then they get drunk, and they hit this guy with a car, and then they try to hide his body in the water, but he's still alive. And then the next year, they start getting bad things happening to them, and they get a note that says, "I know what you did last summer."
Yeah. The most offensive part was when they hit that guy with the car. Is that they're playing Typo Negative, and Ryan Philippe's character says it's shit, and I was like, I want this guy to die because Typo Negative is fucking awesome. And
I mean, you got your wish.
October Rust is my favorite rock album, just like Sneaker Pimps Becoming X.
Also,
album.
Darlene's boyfriend David is.
That's
in this
right.
From
he gets
Roseanne.
fucked up too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That guy has had a weird career where you thought, okay, this guy was like a minor character in Roseanne, you'll never see him again, and then he ends up.
But he's in it the whole thing. He's
I know, but then he's like in the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, well, fuck
forever.
This guy could have like I'm sure he's fine with that. He's probably sitting in his house with a gold hat on.
I've never seen that show. The Big
it's sort
Bang
of
Theory,
like
but it's
a
very popular in Europe.
It's also it's as
don't.
funny as two men and a little boy, whatever that show was called.
Two and a half men or whatever.
2.5 inches, and it's like the worst type of like sitcom comedy. Just like, but that guy.
That show's okay. The 2.5. That's all right.
I don't believe you. But
no, like the first few
Charlie
seasons
Sheen. I'm sure Charlie Sheen is funny, but Charlie Sheen is busy. Like, God knows what's happening to his brain. and they're in that same, just like even what's her name, the girl from Roseanne, the goth daughter or whatever her name was.
Darlene.
You think she wouldn't bring anything, and then she ended up creating the show called The Talk with women, and she's rich too. So people, good for them. Good for them.
And they were back on the Roseanne show too, which apparently is still good even without Roseanne in it.
I guess so.
Now.
But one more thing is that who else is one person that disappeared? Mayim Bialik was somebody from Blossom who was in a show. It was a huge hit. She disappeared. She came back with Big Bang Theory. So it's like 2 solid hits, and now she's also a host on Jeopardy. So that girl, she must have like a shaman working with her. So back to I Know What You Did Last Summer, because I always love going on to tangents. Can you explain these characters, Thea?
Sure. It's two girlfriends, Helen and Julie. Julie's our main character, and their boyfriends Ray and Barry. Helen is like the beauty queen who wins the pageant right off the top, and Julie's like book smart girl who is going to be a lawyer one day, and Ray is a fisherman's son, and he becomes sort of like a fisherman the following year.
Who's the red herring?
Barry's
man,
an
right?
asshole.
Barry's a complete asshole.
So here's the thing: I Know What You Did Last Summer. You know when they say movies cast good-looking people, like this is what this movie.
Yeah, this is like the prototypical.
This is
yeah.
Like Jennifer Love Huge. Oh, sorry, I almost slipped into a
Huge?
scary movie. No.
Huge.
Yeah, that's from Scary Movie. Cindy
God.
says, "What do you think? I'm Jennifer Love Huge tits." She's fucking like this was like the apex. Like she was so gorgeous, but then she became milfy, which is even better. There's Ryan Philippe, who's handsome, and he was in the fucking awesome Cruel Intentions movie, which wasn't a horror movie, but it was like rich people being scumbags, which is that also had Sarah Michelle Gellar in it. Obviously, Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was super pretty, and she was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which defined her character.
And is this where her and Freddie Prinze Jr. met? Because they're like married.
Yeah. Oh no, I think it was Scooby Doo. Oh no, it
that
has
was
to.
way
You're right.
after.
It has to
Scooby-Doo
be
was
this.
after.
Yeah, I guess it has.
I think it was this.
Maybe they met here and then they got together. No, I guess you're right. I guess they got together here. Good for them. They're still married and everything like that. But she was. I was always more of a Willow guy on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But of course, what do you think happened to Willow? She decided to cross off men in her
Play
life.
for the right team.
Oh yeah, there you go. So so this movie has a cast of these actors. They're really good. Scary Movie did a couple of good jokes based on this one. I think that's the whole. I think it was half Scream, half Scary Movie, right?
Yeah.
Half Scream, half I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I gotta rewatch that movie.
Yeah, and like the
So-
running across the lawn in her underwear and all that.
Yeah. So I really liked this movie at the time. They had a great push for it because I think once you saw Scream and then you knew Kevin Williamson was a part of it, you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be So and it didn't disappoint for me at least. It was a little bit more slowly paced than Scream was.
I when I suggested this, I remember because it's been forever since I've seen this. I remember thinking like last month or whatever, like that it wasn't going to be as good as Scream. Like I remember as a kid thinking it was kind of like just like copying Scream or something,
Right.
but it's better in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Maybe a little better. I don't know. It's just more like
More hot girls for
Right.
you, Danny? Is that what it is?
yeah, more
Freddie
hot
Prinze Jr.?
girls. I love seeing old men that are hit by cars. I love seeing old men get hit by cars. Like
That's your king.
That's your dream.
that's my fetish.
It also
that's actually my
has-
fetish, seeing old men get hit by cars.
It also has a person I'm sure Thea hates just by association, which is I think Anne Heche, right? Is she?
What's
She
wrong
was-
with?
She was
I
playing
don't-
for the right team, and then she came back to the original OG
And now she's
team.
playing for the wrong team again. I haven't actually
Wait,
followed her
Wait,
sexuality.
is she
that
back
closely.
to women again? She like this,
I have
was
no
just-
idea. I have no
I was
idea.
listening to
and they have Miss Yvonne and
She in
Sonia
this?
Blade.
Oh yes, you're right. Oh my God, did I have such a crush on her too? Because she was in what is the Adam Sandler movie? She was
Yeah.
yeah, Miss
Billy
Yvonne, right?
Madison.
God, Billy Madison is the greatest movie ever. One of the greatest movies
Yeah, it
ever
really
made.
is. It really is.
I say that without any fucking there's no humor in saying that.
Nope.
Yeah, so obviously, but like Anne Heche is in it, and she plays the sister of who's she related?
Yeah,
to
she
in the movie?
plays basically. Julie does a bunch of research and figures out who this guy that died or disappeared the same night or died, and
Right.
and he washed up on shore or wherever, and Missy is his sister, and she sort of goes around a couple of times and tries to figure out if he had any friends, if anybody could be the killer on his behalf.
She's in actually very unexpected and well done jump scare. I thought she was. That's the one jump scare
at the
I think
window?
really got everybody. Yeah, obviously, at that part, because that's the one where everybody shit their pants in the theater watching. So I think that's effective. The movie had a great.
Which scene?
They're like the people are sitting in their car. Go ahead, Thea.
Yeah, they sort of make an excuse that they have car trouble, so can we use your phone? And then they go when they get the information they need from her, and then they go back out to the car and they're talking. And while they're talking about like who could be the killer, Missy basically just like slam knocks on the window, the driver's side window, and they're like, ah! And it's actually pretty effective.
I'm sure it's like that.
Yeah.
One of those things. It's one of those singers. So according to the wiki, it says the film also draws inspiration from the urban legend known as the Hook. Obviously, the Hook Man, which was the main bad guy of another movie I just like literally came back into my head, which was Urban Legends. We should do that one day too. Dang, we should just do all these 90s movies. Urban Legends, which was really fucking.
90s movies are the best movies.
That was a fun movie, and it starred a real killer in it. If you know the story of Rebecca Gayheart, the one. I don't want to spoil it, but Rebecca Gayheart like backed over a 12-year-old kid in real life, and that's why you don't see her in movies anymore.
I didn't know that.
So she was preparing from that.
She should have talked to Matthew Broderick's lawyer.
Yeah, you're right. Did you know that, Thea, about Matthew Broderick? What
Grim.
A killer. He's a killer. He's a queen champion. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about this movie. Danny, get into this movie. Tell us what works, what didn't work with this film.
The whole thing works. It's great. It's a fucking classic movie. And at the time, I think it was probably pretty groundbreaking. And that Barry guy's so horrible. I hate him.
He is horrible.
He's great. Ryan Philippe is great at playing a big fucking scumbag.
He's just such an asshole. Like, I've known people like him. And I want to punch him in the head.
Yeah, he's such a dickhead in this movie. But the thing is that I like
It's
Ryan
completely his fault. Everything that happens in this movie is his fault.
And also, he insulted Typo Negative. How dare he? October Rust being one of the best rock albums ever came out. But yeah, the thing I like about Ryan Philippe is that he plays great rich scumbags. Just watch Cruel Intentions 2, which is a great fucking movie. It's like I don't know. I can't even explain what that was like a sex movie for kids, I guess, for teenage kids back then, because it was just like a horny movie of people. And that movie obviously had a fantastic scene with Selma Blair kissing Sarah Michelle Gellar, which I'm sure awoke many people's sexuality that they watching that movie. And it was did you guys ever see the really offensive movie? What was that? Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah.
Where they redid
I love that movie.
I love that. That's a great movie. Damn, the 90s had some good fucking movies. The 2000s.
That was the one where she was like doing this dramatic painting, and then it was like a smiley face or something.
And
that's a great movie.
It's basically She's All That. Yeah.
They redid the scene with the kiss from Cruel Intentions with like a lady clearly in her 60s or 70s with that young goth chick. It's a fantastic movie. But but the thing I like about Ryan Philippe as an actor is that he has humor about himself. Like. And if you've seen MacGruber, Danny, you and I saw MacGruber.
That's got some really funny stuff.
And I think there was a scene with Ryan Philippe where he had something clenched in his butt cheeks to distract the bad guys for some reason. He seems like a cool actor. And Sarah Michelle Gellar has moved on to, I think, more like self-help or some shit like that. I think she's sort of like a Goop kind of personality now.
Oh no.
And Freddie Prinze Jr. is her husband, so he's just there. I think he works for like Star Wars. He does like Star Wars voices and stuff like that. And cool. And Jennifer Love Hewitt had a job more. This sounds like
Freddie Prinze Jr. seems like the genuinely nicest man or something. Like
he seems like a nice dude. His dad was a comedian called Freddie Prinze, obviously, who was like a giant star.
Do you think Freddie Prinze is related to Freddie Prinze Jr.?
So Freddie Prinze, unfortunately, was a giant star in the 70s or the 80s. He was like, he had a sitcom. He was like a first like Latino sort of guy who had his own sitcom. And then he like blew his brains out, like killed himself.
What about Desi Arnaz?
Well, I guess you're right. But it was more Lucy, because Lucy on I Love Lucy.
That's why Desi was such a mess.
I Love Lucy. What you didn't see is what they used to cut out from TV is that she would threaten immigration on him if he didn't follow her.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Lucy, you don't gotta do that. Come on, baby. Anyway.
He's allowed to say this. He's Puerto Rican.
I am. Uh-oh. Anyway. So yeah, besides this being a TMZ episode about the lives of the actors,
Catching up on that
because
stars.
I'm trying to fill out the episode. I'm struggling here. Thea,
the screenshots for this video are going to be like that, like cleavage shots and like like a picture of like how they've aged, like before and after and stuff. It's going to be great.
You won't believe what Jennifer Love Hewitt is doing these days.
Click this video to find out what happened to Freddie Prinze Jr.
So Thea, what do you think worked with Kevin Williamson's adaptation here? Because as we know, Kevin Williamson is good at character interactions. He obviously did Dawson's Creek and all these other films. He's kind of disappeared for a while, and now he's resurging a little bit back. What do you think works? Why did Kevin Williamson work with these characters? Like, why do you think these characters kind of stick out, like as with Scream and stuff like that?
He effectively, I mean, it's sort of like a dream life that these kids have, and so like he creates real stakes for them, where it's like, we have to do this, or we will literally not have a life. Right off the top. And then, of course, it's like, oh, he's still alive, and you still killed him.
Yeah.
Because he, of course, jumps up when they push him into the water.
And I think Williamson is good at, like, good relationships between characters existing. Like, obviously, the Ryan Philippe's character wouldn't be anywhere near these people because he's with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she's friends with Jennifer Love Hewitt. You can see why they're all together, and there's a sort of classist system because Freddie Prinze Jr. is walking around. And, of course, like, Jennifer Love Hewitt's character would pick the nice boy as opposed to the rich asshole in this type of film.
And the character dynamics when she comes back a year later, it feels authentic because, like, none of them are together in relationships anymore. They don't even talk to each other anymore because of what happened, and that makes sense. And then it's interesting to see those characters come back together.
Yeah, it's really well done. I think it's Williamson is good at that. I'm sure Williamson read hundreds of young adult novels when he was young, because this is a template, and obviously the movie is based on a young adult novel, because even Scream that's in there.
But I feel like he like recreates it into like its own thing. Like he started like the trope basically.
His movies feel like young adult novels, and the fact that they're just sort of these interactions between these characters that move plot along. And
there is a pretty good red herring. Like, you kind of think that Freddie Prinze Jr.'s like missing dad or whatever is the killer, and Freddie Prinze teamed up, or like, I don't know, or he's so upset about what happened that he does it, or
you think that was a reference to Scream because of the two killers?
Well, exactly, right? Like, it's a smart twist or it's a smart, like, last minute red herring, because it's like, oh, remember when in Scream it was the boyfriend all along, kind of?
It'd be funny because I'm sure those people that use Costco, like, they're probably watching and goes, there's only one killer. It should be 3 killers in this. Like, they're just like, they want more and more. It's like America. They probably have a big, like, eagle flag hat on their head and shit.
And
like
every sequel, they just add one killer
until there's part 12 and there's 12 killers, and you see them on screen all at once. Like, we gotta get the fuck out.
And like, there's 13 characters, so you have the whole movie is you have to guess which one's not. Which one's
not the killer? It's a reverse slasher film. So did you guys see I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? I didn't watch it. Like, I had no interest in it. I think my interest had waned. I think Brandy was in it.
She was.
And
I'm not into sequels. Like, I don't know. It depends. Like, I usually assume they're stupid.
Did you see the Two Towers?
That's not a sequel. That's
it's not.
That's not the same kind of thing. That's not a sequel made for the sake
of
making a sequel.
Did you see?
It's a trilogy book series.
Did you see Aliens?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Non-sequel.
I'm not saying I've never seen a sequel. I'm not saying I've never seen a sequel. I'm just saying I assume they're stupid until I hear otherwise.
The truth comes out.
Anyway, so I think it worked as a whole. I think Kevin Williamson is pretty fucking solid as this type of film writer. I can't say that I'm really familiar with everything else that he's done besides these 2 films. Obviously, Dawson's Creek he was great in.
Is Dawson's Creek good? I don't even know what it is, really.
It was great up to a point, but then they started, like, bringing some Hollywood trope, quote-unquote, crazy people, and then they do crazy things, those type of characters. Okay. Let's see. Dawson's Creek. Oh, he did The Faculty, too. I hated that movie.
I love that movie.
I thought that was Robert Rodriguez. Or something.
It is. And just because I'm Latin, I'm not supposed to love that movie. They're in the faculty. We'll do the. Did we do the faculty?
We did.
We did do the
it's
faculty.
A great movie.
I love
that
it.
movie. That
It's
movie
so
had
stupid.
that movie had the worst edit in the history of. I was watching. There's a screen where the football players are attacking the bus.
Yeah.
And since Robert Rodriguez edits his own film, I couldn't believe he left this in the movie. But he cut it badly. It's the same scene where the football players are attacking the fucking bus. And it cuts, and characters disappeared from the screen because they fucked up the edit.
Maybe the aliens can vanish. You don't
I was
know.
in the theater, and I looked to my left and right and be like, did nobody see what just happened? Did somebody fucked up with this movie? So maybe that's just that. But he also did Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which I think was point where
That sounds
everybody...
like a porn.
where it was about students trying to kill their teacher.
Or an ASMR
like that.
video.
It was about kids trying to kill their teacher, and people thought it was going to be like a Scream because they sold it like Scream, and that's when his career went right down the toilet. Because people were like, "Hey, this isn't Scream. This isn't I Know What You Did Last Summer or The Faculty. It's like an actual movie with characters. Oh, fuck this movie." So then people like let him go, and then he ended up doing shit like The Following, The Vampire Diaries, and Tell Me a Story. So you can see right after Teaching Mrs. Tingle, his career like made a severe drop.
Right.
But now he's back doing. I think he's doing Scream 5, which looks generic as fuck, but we'll see. But I think he does solid work with character interactions and stuff like that. What do you guys think of the killer himself, the slasher, Mr. Fishman, Mr. Fishsticks, Gordon's Fisherman?
I sympathize with him. These kids hit him with a car and were drunk. It's completely their fault. And
He was a serial killer, right?
And then they essentially killed him. Like, they knew he was alive and they tried to kill him.
Right. Do we think that he, because he turns out to be not the guy that she thought he was, the kid that who had accidentally killed his girlfriend back in the day. He turns out to be that girl's dad.
Right.
And we are sort of led to believe that maybe he also killed that original guy because he has the necklace that he's spinning around right off the top of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like he was killing somebody that night potentially, and that's why it's confusing.
So Thea, when you say what we think, are you saying the royal we, as in yourself, or are you asking me and Danny for our opinions?
Do you think?
I can't believe you're entertaining that. Go ahead.
Do we collectively think that he killed
we should
that
all
guy?
at once
it's possible
say yes.
he killed that kid. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's not a
why
good
not?
person. I'm not
But
arguing
here's the thing.
person.
Why doesn't the thing that confuses me about this movie is why does he have so many opportunities to kill them and doesn't? He literally cuts her hair off.
Yeah, he
stakes out her bedroom and then cuts her hair off and then ultimately kills her. So like,
well,
why
everybody
didn't he kill her
knows
right off the bat.
Everybody knows once you get hit by a car, you go crazy. You can't just like if you're not hit by a car,
concussion and then it rattled his brains permanently.
Or maybe they should have had something where he found the car that hit him and the car talks to him like Cujo or Christine.
I always see things like this in movies and it's like, how do these people continue on? Like, I one time was lifting a couch up a flight of stairs and I tore a muscle in my arm, a tendon in my arm, and for like a year I was in pain. Like a year. And it hurt. Every time my arm hurt even when I was just sitting. This guy got hit by a fucking car and like drowned. Like, how is he running around and like able to unload a trunk filled with like crabs and dead bodies within the span of 2 minutes? Leaving
he had a year of recovery.
Yeah,
so what was he doing? Taking the thing that's in that show, The Boys, like
he's
that
been
medicine
pumping
or
hot
something?
iron.
Like,
there's a whole short cutout scene where he's
working out. It's like a Rocky montage.
Yeah.
He's in a physical therapy. He's picking out the right black slicker to wear on and stuff like that.
It's like a Rocky montage, but it's like him sailing boats and like pulling nets of fish out of the water,
sharpening hooks and shit.
Getting
like that.
people's addresses.
So Thea, what rating would you give I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1987?
I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. Really, just milking that run from one place to the next place to the next place to almost making it to safety and then getting murdered in an alley.
Danny, what rating would you give I Know What You Did Last Summer, 1997?
I want to give it a 9.5. A 9.5 out of 10. I just said it before, but I'm going to say it again because I think it bears repeating. A man that was hit by a car and almost drowned somehow is strong enough to unload a trunk filled with like thousands of crabs and a dead body and leave zero trace, not even water on the ground or
Not
anything,
even one crab.
in the span of like 5 minutes.
I like to give it an 8 out of 10. Salaciously calling out the killer in a tank top that I'm sure Hollywood was like, yeah, make that tank top shorter. Let's see those malonkers. Where she's spinning around saying, "What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?" And Mr.
nobody notices.
And Mr. Rain Slicker Man is like, "Damn, she looked fine as fuck." And he didn't even hear what she said. He's like, anyway,
He's sharpening
with that,
his hook.
with that, I'm sure. With that, Theo, what's the final word?
Tanked up.
Danny, what's the final word?
Description time.
Yay. Okay, Theo, go to work. Get out of here.
The HorrorDeconstruction.